there's no doubt, if you simply look at the numbers, there's inverse relationship, that the labor movement has flourished at times when immigration has been low, and it has suffered when immigration is high. Statistically, that's worked out exactly that way. And basically the reason is, again, it's about the supply of labor. The labor movement today has historically been the major force pushing for enforcement of immigration laws and for low levels of immigration. But that has shifted today basically because the labor movement has been caught in a vice. That is that the United States government, both political parties, do not enforce their immigration laws. The labor movement has now, because they go out to organize foreign workers, especially low-skilled workers, they find many of these labor markets flooded with illegal immigrants. The choice is, do we actually continue our historic position of trying to get the illegal immigrants out, which they did up through 1986, or do we try to organize them? And they have simply made a political judgment, which is against contrary to their economic judgment, welfare, that if we don't, that we have to try to organize these people. We do that by coming out, being sort of on the workers against immigration reform. It's a sad comment because it makes it eventually, but the reality is, they say that the government's not going to enforce it. If we come out and say we want to follow our historic position of trying to get illegal immigrants out of the labor market, we will alienate the illegal immigrants if the government's not going to do its job. And so we're either going to go out and organize them. If we're going to organize them, we've got to become their friends. And this is a sad comment. And I think they're losing the battle. I mean, the more they push this, the less number of people are in the unions every year. And it really raises the question, what can they do if you get them into unions? Now, if you get them into unions and the illegal immigrants keep coming, you're not going to be able to raise wages, improve the working conditions, or reduce hours, the type of traditional things that the American labor movement has been concerned with. So it's a real quandary. I'm hoping the labor movement will basically come back to its historic role of being a proponent of the welfare of working people who are U.S. citizens. Remember, most of these immigrant leaders, like Samuel Gompers, was an immigrant himself. I mean, but they saw the need to have an enforceable immigration policy. And but the labor movement is split. I mean, not all labor movement is on the side of open borders. Father Hesburgh, one of the most fine humanitarian of outstanding record, was very bold on that. There's nothing incongruent with being a free and open society and having a forcible immigration policy, because he said that without a forcible immigration policy, all your hope for welfare reform proposals are hopeless. You can do nothing. You open the borders, you cannot provide a welfare state for everybody in this country. You can do things about development systems that people come from, or population control, and all those things. You can do those things. But there's no conflict between pushing for an enforceable immigration policy, because he said the United States was designed to be a beacon. It's a beacon of what can be done. But nothing can be done in a period of open borders. That's a reality. And things we can do to make the world, and hopefully that's what the rest of the other groups are here to try to talk about, what we can do to make the rest of the sustainable development worldwide, maybe if it's possible, those type of things. But that's another policy issue. But if the United States itself can show what you can be done with public policy, but it cannot be done with an open border. Absolutely cannot be done. Now, that doesn't mean that you steal yourself off. I mean, I'm not trying to say he never said there's no immigration, but you have got to take immigration policy seriously. If you don't take it seriously, there's no sense talking about anything else in terms of welfare policies, labor movements, poverty program, health insurance. They're all out the window. And so if you believe in immigration reform, I think is central basically to the development of a progressive public policy for the United States. But it's got to start with, that's what I say, our immigration policy is our most fundamental labor law. Go ahead, Frank. You want to say something?
Yes, I want to address that point too. I'm going to address it also in mine. But that's one of the assumptions that we make, that is fallacious, and it's often a progressive assumption. And if people who are here are, especially those who've come illegally, if they have to go back to their home countries, they will starve. About 40% of illegal immigrants are visa abusers who have come here because they've been able to abuse student visas, they've been able to business visas. These folks are not going to starve. The Pew Hispanic Center pointed out of the immigrants from Mexico, which is one of our largest immigrant generating countries, that the majority of those immigrants came here not because they were starving in Mexico, but the jobs here in America paid more than they did in Mexico. They have the choice, as I had told Congressman Conyers in March. But I just wanted to, those are assumptions are not always true.